It's a revolution, style revolution, cultural revolution.
When we come out here, we have a fight.
Evolution does not occur in one stage. It's an evolutionary process. Like people go through different things.
The real content of any kind of revolutionary thrust lies in the principles and the goals that you're striving for.
That you are here. And to be here means that you can't be here right now.
We have to become involved in a program of re-education to educate our people into the importance of knowing.
It's a revolution, style revolution, cultural revolution.
Yo, what up?
Yo, what's up?
You tuned into the Peaceful Rage podcast
Featuring Matt Murphy and Dr. Wes Bellamy. Two brothers,
working in our community,
active, caring for our families.
still trying to get back,
We see what's going on with the big picture.
and we pissed off about it.
Peaceful Rage Podcast.
Peaceful Rage podcast. Yo, so let me let all y'all in on something. Murph, literally 3 seconds before we started the podcast, just says, I got some shit to talk about, tells the ear to start the podcast. And I don't know what he's about to talk about, but thank you, brother. I'm cool with that. Like, thank you.
We freestyle, man.
Yeah,
you know
shit.
we some freestylers.
Thank
man.
you, brother.
All right, so okay,
Uh-huh.
so listen. So we just started off with it like this. Like again, Mother's Day's around the corner,
No doubt.
right? By the time we post this, it's going to be right upon us. What are some things that you learned from your mother about women that you carry to this day?
That's a really good question. Honestly, so I've talked about this before. My mother and I, in terms of our relationship, in my personal opinion, growing and evolving to what may traditionally be a mother-son relationship, I feel like we just got there maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? With me understanding her understanding me, because my mother and I are very different. We have two completely different kinds of personalities. A lot of things that she did when I was younger, I just didn't understand. And I would think that she didn't love me in certain ways, or she wasn't proud of me, although she was. We just different, right? She expresses it different. So I think if I've learned anything from my mother is the fact that just men and women are very different. So how they emote, how they express themselves, it's just different. And there's a certain level of patience that's required when dealing with the women that we love. And if we're not careful in terms of being patient with our women, we could misinterpret their love and or feelings for us. And we may categorize it as rejection, as neglect, because we're not able to pick up on it. Or, I've also learned, not necessarily from my mother, but from my aunt. My aunt is like a second mom to me. How a woman can really make you feel like a king, right? So like my aunt just would speak life into me, and my grandmother as well before she passed. Like they would say things to me that made me feel as if I was just the greatest man on earth. I was destined for greatness since I came out the womb. And because I am the greatest person, the greatest man on earth, I have a responsibility to go carry out that greatness. So, the highs and just a euphoric feeling from them speaking life into me and speaking positivity in me, it made me feel like, I'll never forget, dog. My aunt told me I was like 9 or 10. I got in this big fight with one of my cousins in our neighborhood, and we was fighting. Me and my cousin Kendall. Shout out to Kendall, the Cash. We fought literally like all around our neighborhood, like 3 different fights in one day. Right? We fighting. Everybody in the neighborhood laughing, looking at it. Little dudes been fighting all day. And I remember my aunt being so disappointed, and she saying to me, "Yo, you read all these books about Malcolm X, and like, you call yourself a black revolutionary leader and you out here fighting all in the neighborhood, like just fighting your own cousin?" And like, I never forget that. Like, I've never forgot. Like, she was like, I'm just so disappointed because I expect so much more of you. Like, I expect you to be a leader and you fighting over something so stupid and trivial with your cousin. And I was like, I'm a leader. I can't be doing stuff like that. So yeah.
So you had a picture of what strong, not, you had a picture of what a strong woman could look like. or what a strong woman look like. And I'm not saying that just because you didn't, just because someone doesn't receive the same lessons you got doesn't mean that they were not engaged with a strong woman. You know what I mean? Because there are countless situations in life and in this world that people survive and they're strong. You know what I mean? But you had it sounded like you had a certain kind of voice in your ear. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Dog, my grandmother went and worked for white folks in this restaurant, dog, for 20, 30 years. She was the cleaner at the restaurant. She was the maid at their home. You know what I'm saying? She did that. She went to work every day.
Okay, so let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
So how did seeing that from your mom, from your aunt, from your grandmother, how did seeing them impact the way that you chose the women that you dealt with romantically?
3 totally different perspectives, right? 3 different women. Oh, I think my aunt and my grandmother were similar, but my mom was different.
Okay.
Right? So I definitely think it played a role because I would often say, like, if I'm being 100, like, I wouldn't want to date a woman like my mom.
Okay.
Right? Because I didn't view my mom, I didn't quite understand the sacrifices that she was making for me and my little brother to be, in the position that we were in. I was just like, yo, man, like, she's so quiet, like, she passive. Like, if it was me, I would stand up or I would do X, Y, and Z. But our personalities are just different. We handle things different. So the women that I would initially deal with had bigger personalities. They reminded me more of my aunt, or my cousins.
Okay,
my cousins also, like loud, a little
over
hectic.
the top,
yeah, a little hectic,
dramatic.
You know what I'm saying? But
you
by
got
the
them
same
divas.
Yeah, but by the same token, my
High
cousins,
maintenance shit.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
But my cousins also. Shout out to Tiffany and Stephanie. I spent a lot of time with them, like living with both of them at different times in my life, and they were really big readers. Like, so I somehow, like a lot of women also I do, like while they may have been hectic, I always wanted a smart chick. Like a woman who could think and be analytical. Like my cousins got books and books, and they used to read hood novels. Right? But they would always be like, yo, well, you should read this. Like, I would see them reading all the time. Like, I want to read that too.
You know what? I also appreciate a thoughtful woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's something that I got like from my mom's, just thinking through like what I saw her go through. So we just had a visit recently and she was telling the story of...
Shout out to Mama Murph.
You know what I'm saying? This is crazy because like, so when she got with my pops, her family disowned her. You know what I mean? Right. Because of the right. And to the point where she needed something for some paperwork, and so she needed some information on her dad, and she needed like the city that he was born in. Yeah. Found out he was born in Stanton, Virginia. Yeah, like crazy. Yeah, and she found the obituary, and you know what? All the kids, his stepkids, was in it. She wasn't in it, and her sister wasn't in it because both of them. Relationships with black men. And you know what I mean? And she's like, it didn't bother her none because she knew he was a racist asshole. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, just thinking about like the level of commitment that she had, you know what I mean? Like to my dad through all the other things that they had gone through just in their relationship being an interracial couple.
So the family was essentially cut her off. Like, yo, we're not rocking with you. Don't talk to us. Don't.
Yeah. Not her brothers, you know what I'm saying? Not her siblings, but her parents. And then when I was born, like her and her mom were reunited. Like I was, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You see that a lot of times happening. So yeah. That's
tough. So how has that impacted the women that you've dated?
I think for me, like that one, like you had talked a little bit about that thoughtfulness. My mom's a very thoughtful person, you know what I'm saying? Like she's very intentional, you know what I mean? And so I think I've always been attracted to women that were like driven, you know what I mean, that wanted something out of life. I remember breaking up with a girl one time because I was like, you don't want shit. You know what I'm saying? Right. And her mama called me and was like, you the best thing to happen and blah, blah, blah. Like, she don't want nothing. I can't make her want it.
Yeah, I can't do
I got to keep it pushing, you know? And so, so I think that's one side of it, like someone that's driven, someone that's committed, and then just like for me, like appreciation is a big thing. You know what I mean?
Appreciated.
You want to feel, you know what I'm saying? Appreciate it. Like, look, I'll bust my ass. I'll do things you ain't really got to like, I'm going to do those things. Right. But don't take me for granted though. Yo, what's up? You're listening to the Peaceful Rage podcast featuring me, Matt Murphy, and Dr. Wes Bellamy.
I think that's a big thing for all men. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want to feel validated, appreciated, valued. Don't take us for granted, and we'll give you the world, right?
Right.
It's so interesting, man. I was talking earlier about, like, I said to myself initially, like, I don't want to date a woman like my mom. And many of the women that I've dated haven't been like my mom. But it was like, it really hit me. Like, last year, my mom came up and stayed for a few days. And I was thinking in my mind, like, my mom and Ashley, like my wife, they acted like, in different ways. And like, yo, when my mom was there, and my wife and my mom, they get along like really, really well. And I'll be like, yo, it's weird. Like, I get along so well. Which is good. You want that, right? But they act very much so alike.
Subconscious move,
yo, dog, I've married like a woman just like my mom, which has been problematic in some ways because I would, you know what I'm saying? Like, I used to want my mom, she didn't always come to like my football games or basketball games or tell me like, you know, certain things like, hey, Wes, I'm super proud of you. Like, she did, but she did it in her own way. And my wife is like that as well. Like, she is very proud of me. She loves me. I know that, but she expresses it in her own way. Right? So I have to learn her love language and grow to understand and appreciate how she's giving me the love, right? And the same with my mom. Like, our relationship, I feel like, took a turn for the better when we started having very frank conversations about things that transpired when I was younger. Like, yo, I remember when I was younger, my mom sent me to South Carolina. We in Atlanta. Like, my pops done bounced on us. And she sent me, like, I'm growing up regular, and she sent me to live in South Carolina for like a year of school. Like, while I'm in elementary, I'm like, yo, mom, I asked her, like, why did you send me? Like, yo, what was that about? And she was like, yo, you know, it was just me and you. We were in a 1-bedroom apartment. Like, we're in Atlanta. I'm not from Atlanta. Your dad was gone. I asked your grandma, could you come and live there for a year so I could get myself together? Like, I wanted you to come back when we had everything straight. And that's what happened. You went to school there for a year. You came back. You remember we got a new place. So that's a level of sacrifice that I didn't even know anything about, right? And I had to come to appreciate. And I feel like my wife does similar. Like, real shit, like, living here with me, you know what I'm saying? And we dealing in the midst of all this white supremacy shit and people coming up to us, people sending, you know, all kind of wild shit to our crib.
Right.
Like, you know, she is having to live through this stuff. And my wife has lived through her, dog, and dealt with it like a champ. You know what I mean? And it takes a toll, but she appreciates me in her own way. And like, I've had to learn to be, again, understanding of that and appreciate her, and then be willing to grow with her as she's being patient and growing with me.
Yeah, like, wow. No, I'm just saying, man, like, when you got a fighter like that, you know, on your squad, man, there's nothing like that, man. I mean, whether that's your mother, whether that's your significant other, you know, at the end of the day, that's something that's more valuable than what somebody looks like. Because, you know, you and me in the ear were joking before we started recording about, you know, females that we saw that they haven't aged well, you know what I mean? And that's okay, you know what I mean?
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah,
That's cool.
it is what it is.
Maybe you just kept eating Lunchables and, you know what I mean? Like, not taking care of yourself. No, I'm just playing.
Yo, scratch that out. Go ahead, though, bro.
For real, though.
But for real,
no, stop playing, because that shit happens.
Nah,
you know what I mean? Like, people just give up. You know what I mean?
Like, fuck it.
So I'm not saying, like, I got it going on, like, but I'm just saying... We know the real.
The real.
Okay, so that said, you know, some of us got less hair on our head. Some of y'all got a little bit hanging out the top of your jeans. But just chill, bro. So, but when you have somebody that's down for you, none of that matters as much.
Yeah.
Right? Because we do get older. Because we do change. Looks fade, yeah. Right? Looks fade. And so, that being said, like, you saw in your mom the same thing now that you see in your wife, somebody that's a fighter, someone that is complex, someone that has to make decisions sometimes that you don't understand, even those decisions are regarding your emotions and you trying to understand that shit and, like, do you really love me? Like, figuring all those things out. But, like, that's also what you get when you get with someone that's really down for you, because they know the depths. They may not know how to express their care and their admiration and their love for you, but they're there with you in that, and their very presence within itself should speak volumes. You know what I'm saying?
Come thick or thin,
right?
With you,
right?
I mean, you're a guy who has had his fair share of experiences with different women. What has been the factors for you in terms of choosing a woman? Like, what are the things that you look for when you were looking for women, or you know what I'm saying, or you were choosing a spouse or a mate?
Right. I think someone, just in general, like my general filter would be like, someone that is driven, and or accomplished, right? So meaning like they've accomplished something because of their drive, or you see them motivated, moving in a particular direction. I think that, first of all, that's one of the most attractive things, and then probably also self-respect. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a man. I appreciate things that I see, and at the same time, if you just coming out like looking like a stripper on on a Tuesday, shopping at Food Lion, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really ain't got no interest in you, you know what I'm saying, on the thought tree, you know what I mean?
Some brothers like that.
But I'm saying you asking me what I like.
No, you're right.
I'd probably be drawn more to like, a female downtown in a business suit with her hair wrapped up tight. Like, I know she got something going on right there. You know what I mean? Like,
she about her business.
Right.
Well, I like that. I think that's dope. Do you, because of your several experiences like around the country, and you done been so many places, do you have a preference in terms of like, you only date a certain type of woman, black chick, or do you like only like skinny chicks, or like, do you have a preference, or like you would whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I have standards.
No. But standards and preferences are different, right?
Word.
And I think that's a misconception that a lot of people, have, right? Like, yo, I can have preferences.
Yes.
And my preferences may be a certain thing, but no matter what, these are my standards. These are my non-negotiables.
Right. And that's that to me, the standards, come as a higher priority than the preference. And so I'm in an interracial relationship now. You know what I mean? And I think the things that I've been drawn to and I've appreciated have been about who she is as a person and how she functions and operates. It wasn't about like, oh, she got this skin color, or this is her background, or
right,
you know what I mean?
So for you don't mind like not only dating interracial because the skin color to you is only a certain component of it. Do you get certain looks when you're out with your white girlfriend?
I mean, I have.
You have?
You know what I mean?
And how does that make you feel? Or like, do you think anything about it, or are you just like, man, whatever, this me?
Right. Okay, so let me just go on in another direction real quick before you get into the issue of like race. If you got a bad female, you gonna get looks
no matter what.
You know what I'm saying? so that's the first thing, right? She gonna get looks. You gonna get looks because listen, a brother always gets chose up when he with a bad female because I'm telling you, this is real game. Because another female's gonna look at him and be like, "Damn, she's beautiful. What is it about him that has her attention?" Yeah. And that's why when a brother, even when he got a female friend and they're just platonic, but they chopping it up, he just got a little bit more pull because it's like they don't know, and it's like, I'm just putting y'all little young brothers up on game. All right, so now, so now, if you have a bad female, you already gonna get looks, but now, like, can I interpret everything as being racial? Right. Well, I've been in situations where I've looked and been like, damn, he look a little salty. You know what I mean?
Right.
Other situations, like, they just looking because, like, damn, she bad. You know, so that's that. You know, but
do you feel as if you being with a white woman, like, can you be? This is a question I always get from brothers, right? Like, or see on social media, which I think is correct. Well, I shouldn't even say my opinion, but do you think that you cannot be down for our people and date interracial, or do you think that's crazy? I guess I've already. You
already know my opinion. Right. You can be. You know what I mean? You can be down for the cause. And that's my opinion. And other people are going to have different opinions. And that's just what that is. You know what I mean? Everybody got an asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, you got an opinion.
I think I've always, or let me not say I've always, right? Because I've evolved in my thought process. So me personally, right? Like I've only dated black women. I love black women. That's my preference, right? And I used to think that like, yo, man, damn, how can you be down for the cause if you ain't with a sister, right? Like so on and so forth. But I've seen over time, like that just not be the case. Like, because that's my preference, that doesn't mean my preference. Like I like this kind of cereal. That doesn't mean you have to like Fruity Pebbles as well. Right. And you might like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but that don't mean that we both can't be fighting for the cause. And in fact, you know, if I'm gonna be completely honest and 100 here, there's nothing wrong with having white people on our side as allies. Like we need all of the allies that we can get.
Well, I mean, I think that's part of it. And you know, and I had a conversation with somebody recently talking about kind of the partnership and white allies inside the civil rights movement, right? And that's all good. And I would also say for myself, I was married to a black woman for almost 20 years. You know what I'm saying? I raised, 4 black children.
Yeah, I'll say a gang of black kids.
And so, you know what I mean? Like for me, you know, like again, that's what that was in that season. And I'm in this season, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean that my consciousness is any different.
Right.
You know what I mean? And let me say it like this. Watch this. If we say that the idea of race is a social construct, and we say that it's really about human race and ethnicity is the difference that sets us apart, right? And that's a social construct, and we've been conditioned to think a certain kind of way, then that tells me that if you believe that I should not be with another race, that you've been conditioned to such a point that you actually believe that we have these differences that should not be mixed or blended. That you've been so conditioned by the social construct of white supremacy that says you don't have the freedom, right, or flexibility to make that decision in that capacity. Well, I'm free, nigga. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do.
My man, I'm free. I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I'm gonna like who I want to like and love who I want to love, however I want to love them. I definitely respect that 110%, and I think it's nothing wrong with people having preferences, right? Or like, yo, you just like who you like, or you love who you love. Like again, me, I love black women. I can't see myself with anything other than a black woman, but that doesn't mean the next brother who doesn't date a black woman, that doesn't make him any less than.
Okay, so watch this though.
That's crazy to me.
No, you're right, but let's explore the idea of relationships with black women. Yeah. Okay. And speak now to the diversity inside of that.
Okay.
A black American woman, a black Caribbean woman,
all different,
an African woman. Yeah. Because now we're talking cultural differences. Right. And recognizing the differences and the impacts that makes. Right. You know what I'm saying?
It's different. So, I mean, women dating a black woman and they're from different ethnicities or countries or whatever creates differences, right? Because the cultures are indeed different. It would be very stupid, if I'm just being blunt, to categorize all black women the same because they're not a monolith.
And I'm not saying you're doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like when you start talking about now being in a relationship, and I don't know your experiences necessarily say like,
I've dated all kinds, like
okay,
all kinds of black women.
So a relationship with a female, a black African woman, and versus someone that was raised in upstate South Carolina, right? Versus who was raised in
New York, right?
Or who was raised in the SWATs,
right.
Beautiful. Right. Beautiful brown skin, and I love you, mama. But now we start talking about how do we jive contextually, culturally with one another, because even the way that we understand race and our role in this country could vary very differently.
Oh, no doubt. But I think that's the beauty of it, right? The fact that our sisters can be so different. And it's just like, and I have no problems admitting, I mean, maybe I have been conditioned to believe that like this is just what I'm supposed to like, and this is what I like, right? For better or for worse, right? I'm not afraid to say that like, yo, that's just what I like, and I'm married now, so that's it anyway. That's my way out. Yeah, that's my way out. But I mean, again, at the same time, I've just always loved something about the strength of Black women, the texture of their skin, the melanin, the way that their minds think, the power that is within the sisters based off of what I've seen growing up and experienced growing up and just my encounters with women that has led me to always know this is what I like. Yeah. And again, that doesn't mean that anyone else can't like anything different. That's just what I like. Now, where I believe that we have to get all of our brothers to, even if you are the most quote unquote woke like Dr. Umar, right? Who would say, and there are a lot of people who would say, yo, if you date a white woman or if you're with a woman outside of the Black race, you're doing a disservice to your race. Well, we have to get brothers like that. Like that's some stupid shit. But there's a lot of brothers and a lot of people in general. Yo, I used to think like that. Right. Like I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm holier than thou. Like, but there's a lot of people who think like that because they don't quite understand that people can be different. Like we as men and brothers can be different and we can have different preferences, and that's okay. And I would even say that to the sisters. Like, we hear a lot about Black men. What's the Kanye line? I hate to even quote Kanye right now with all the dumb shit he's doing. Right. But when he get on, he leave your ass for a white girl. And like a lot of people will be like, yeah, that's true. That does happen. Right. But like, what is it about that brother that makes him feel that when he reaches a level of success that he needs to get validation or whatever from having a white woman? Or could it possibly be that the white woman or whomever, the Asian woman or Latino woman that he met could just be more equally yoked for him? It could just be a better fit. And that's okay. Yo, what up? You tune into the Peaceful Rage podcast featuring me, Dr. Wes Bellamy, and my man, Matt Murphy. And like, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's what I was going to say. On a human level, perhaps their interaction and relationship is the most healthy and helpful for them in that time. You know what I mean? Right. And then, and I'm not going to try and get us in trouble on this one.
Go ahead.
There are certain places, certain spaces that we are comfortable in as people. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And there are certain places and certain people that get to move up, get to, the next level and the next level and the next level. And there are friendships as you move up in those levels. Yeah. That grow, that change, increase and decrease. Relationally, if you've got someone, this is a man or a woman, if you a female and you got a dude they never had shit, never been about shit, and all of a sudden you doing something, he don't know how to handle success, yo, you gonna struggle. And I don't care what color you are.
No doubt. That transcends race.
Right. So I just say that to say, you can use the kind of the cultural expression that Kanye that made, and we might see a pattern of that in these instances with entertainers or sports figures or whatever the case is. But how much does it happen with people that we know? Like somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like they met when they were young, they got together, he goes off to college, she goes off to college, all of a sudden they start balling, they successful, and they don't feel, and their spouse doesn't feel comfortable in this new context, and all of a sudden they got problems in their relationship.
The growth in a relationship definitely happens. Like two people in a relationship could grow in different speeds in different ways at different times. Mm-hmm. And are you willing to be committed to stick with it and stay with it? Or do you bounce? I mean, I've lived through that. I feel like we all have.
Right. So I just say that in saying like the relationships that maybe you chose as a younger person and the reasons why you selected to be with this person or that person could have been what they were in that season. But as you move forward, some of what you see as important could change. And some of that, for some people, could be a decrease in this emphasis on what race I date.
That's real. That's
Because I told you
that's definitely real. That's some real shit. Yeah, like that's definitely real.
Yeah, because we had this conversation back in the day. I remember we talked about it. I said when I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I might talk about it on the show before. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and I made up in my mind, when and if I get married, I'm gonna marry a black woman.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, there could have been some juvenile kind of logic behind why I did that. I think there was also some sound reasoning behind that. But at the same time, that wasn't the answer to all the problems. She was still a human being.
Yeah. Just because you married,
with flaws and you know what I'm saying, positive things. And so,
as we all are.
Right.
Right. And I think, what you just said was so spot on. I just think there's room for both. There's room for brothers to only like black women, support black women, love them. Yo, that's all you date. That's okay. And there's also room for brothers who like different things. That like one doesn't make you bad. Like whatever. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But we have that's just us as a people, and especially as brothers, raising our level of consciousness. But I think where we run into issues now, if I'm also being candid and being 100, is when we find brothers who may not like black women, right? Who may not have a preference for black women. They may have a preference for other women. Okay, if that's what you like, that's cool. But that doesn't mean you get to demean our sisters.
Right.
Because you have a different preference.
We got to definitely avoid self-hatred.
Yes.
Because that's a reality in our community, whether that's brothers that got issues with their mama and so they only dealing with people, you know, women outside their race.
Yeah.
Or that's whatever the case is. And I'm going to tell you like this, and I told my kids this, my sons especially.
Yeah.
I said, if you date a white girl and she tells you she only dates black guys, check that shit.
Why?
I don't play that shit, and I told my kids don't play that. You know what I'm saying? Because we got preferences, but a lot of that to me says that there's a superficiality, right? There's this blanket idea, and you are seeing black people in a very static kind of one-sided way.
That's
I personally don't like that. So you know what I'm saying. So if I dealt with somebody, you know what I'm saying, white, Latino, whatever. And, you know, not black, obviously, because if a black woman says I prefer black men, I ain't got no thing. But if a white girl says I only date black guys, I push back on that real hard, and I'm generally not drawn to that shit.
Okay, so I see where you're coming from.
Because I'm looking at it from like humanity, like a human perspective, and if you're just looking at it like on some fetish type shit,
right?
I really
we got a problem
for you, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But again, I think that also goes to brothers. That could also be flipped to brothers.
I agree. That's why I brought that up.
Like you saying, you know, you only like. I've seen all kind of crazy tweets. You know what I'm saying? People saying, "Yo, I only like mixed women. I only like white women. I like anything but black. I want to have beautiful mixed babies."
That was like the little homie that got shot out there in California, talking reckless, he was saying man. That bullshit, man.
Yeah. But let me also say, even though he was tweeting some dumb shit, that doesn't mean he deserved to get shot and killed by the cops.
Oh no, hell no.
And I know you're not saying that as well. I just think we need to make that very well known.
Right.
Like you still deserve human rights, even if you may say some crazy shit. But when brothers say stuff like that to me, it makes me wonder where in your life or what happened in your life to make you not hate yourself. Because to me, not like yourself. Because to me, if you have such a disdain for our sisters, your mother's black, you're black, your auntie's black, your cousin's black, but you say that you will never date a black woman, or you're willing to generalize and or categorize all black women, what happened in your life that made you go that route?
That's a good question, because we don't want to act like we all have had the experiences you've had.
Yeah.
Where you had positive black women reinforcing your masculinity, your kingship, all those things.
Yeah.
Like, it might have been like Precious. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like on some foul shit. You know?
Right.
Mama might have been an alcoholic and she just dropped off and wasn't about nothing.
Yeah. And you're like, nah, I don't want that.
Right.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You're right. Because I just me personally, I think another reason why I have such an affinity and love for black women is that throughout my life, black women have always supported me and or shown me my value or reminded me. I mean, it's whether it's from whether it's from like family members to women I've dated to just female friends. I remember even when the whole like Twitter fiasco stuff was popping off, like, you know, and I had a lot of white people who were supporting me as well, like a whole lot of white people supporting. But I remember like, obviously my wife held me down, but like some of my ones giving me daily encouragement, like Nakaya,
right,
Tanisha, you know what I'm saying? Both Tanishas, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people, a lot of black women just saying like, you good regardless. Right. And it's been that way throughout my life. So that has definitely reinforced. But I know that's my experience is not everyone's experience.
Well, what I was getting ready to say was when you have a population of people, and I firmly believe outside of Native Americans, black females in particular, have been the most pushed down, kicked, pushed aside, played to the left people in our country.
Of all time.
And those are often the strongest. They don't have the most vocal, voices, and they don't have the biggest, because they've been the most pressed and stepped on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But they're often the strongest. And so they will stand with us, you know what I'm saying, in these times, because
no matter what,
like they've been through shit that we've never even been through as black men. Like, we can talk about the shit that we deal with as black men, but add to that the complexity of womanhood in a male dominant culture. You know what I'm saying? I remember talking about this with my daughter years ago. I'm like, baby, understand male privilege. You know what I'm saying? We both light skinned. There's some privilege in that, right? We both, you know what I'm saying, can do this, that. There's some privilege in that. I said, but understand, when if you and me apply for the same job, I will get paid more money because I'm a man.
Know that.
And how do you navigate that? You know what I'm saying? And
so it's a certain level of strength that comes with that.
Yeah.
But I think so for that same reason, we owe a certain level of gratitude, appreciation, respect for our women, but also protecting them because they do have to deal with so much bullshit. And I think that brothers, regardless of who you like, in terms of who you choose to love or mate or whatever, we all have an obligation to stand up, speak up, and stand in for our sisters because they always have stood in for us. The Black Panther was such a powerful movie because, like, it also, I'm conflicted. I love the movie. Get it twisted. But it also showed the strength of black women, how they always hold us down, but they're always asked to be so strong. And like, there's a danger in them always having to be so strong because who stands in for them? But I do see brothers as a whole starting to come to their defense more, standing up, speaking up. And I just wish that we all can get to that point. I don't got to mate you. I don't got to, whatever. But yeah, I do have to defend your honor.
We need to, because watch this. Let's even speak for just a second to those brothers who have said, I'm only gonna date a white woman, right?
Yeah.
And then you have a baby with that white woman, and you have this biracial child. Now you are raising a black woman, so you have animosity towards black women, and you're raising a black woman. Nigga, get your life together. I'm telling you, this I will harp on this. We will have an episode about biracial kids and all that. Like, let's talk about how you're impacting this child. You know what I'm saying? So if you're making those decisions, be mindful of the realities of what's going to come about, you know what I'm saying, down the road from that, and deal with your issues, man. So we've talked about getting help. We've talked about, having conversation with loved ones. We talk about all those things, man. Continue to work that out. We grown. We're going to make the decisions that we want to make. We like what we like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But deal with the reality of the decisions that you make.
That's the real shit.
So anyway.
Yo, that's enough for this episode, bro. Hey, it got real in here. Yo, send us your comments, man. Let us know what you think. Email us at peacefulragepodcast@gmail.com. Drop your comments on the iTunes section, man. In the comments, give us a 5-star. Hey, give us whatever stars you want. Hopefully it's the 5. But yo, let us know what you think, man. Hit us up on Facebook. All of us at Peaceful Rage Podcast. Murph Dog, we appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you, bro.
All right, man. Yo, shout out to the ear. Shout out to the ear, man. It's still F the Eagles, but I can't say that. I can't say F the Eagles. We got a couple hometown cats that's repping on the Eagles, man. They doing good work. So I can't say F the Eagles. I'm looking for a new football team anyway if I start watching
I
football
need one.
again.
I'm a Browns fan. It's rough.
Yo, y'all might be all right this year. Maybe.
No.
Bonnie said they ain't gonna be shit. So yo, we'll catch you next week, man. Again, be sure to tune in. Peaceful Rage Podcast, Matt Murph, West B. Till next time, we out. Say So, yo, as always, man, we want to thank the listeners. Appreciate y'all rocking with us.
Absolutely, man.
Shout out to our sponsors.
Like You Marketing, Ty Cooper.
Shout out to our producer, The Ear. Yo, what up, man? At Damani for prayers, hit him up. And also, if you want to be able to sponsor with us, or you want to come through on the show, look out for us. Hit us up on Gmail at peacefulragepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on social media at Peaceful Rage Podcast on all social media websites. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.